Okay, Prof, I think we can start.
Yeah.
Okay. Assalamualaikum.
I have to introduce you
Oh,
first.
okay. All
I
right.
thought Dr. Ainul was saying some opening remarks.
Tak apa, Prof. We can get
Okay.
no problem.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, everybody. It is a pleasure to have Professor Datin Dr. Ruzi Suliza Hashim with us to share her expertise and experience as a researcher, evaluator of research application, both for UKM and also national application at FRGS level. So before she starts sharing her talk with us, I wish to introduce her. Prof. Ruzi was educated in English literature, BA Honours at University of Otago in New Zealand, way back in the 80s. And then she went to Essex, United Kingdom to do her MA also in literature, then pursued her PhD also in literature at University of Otago in New Zealand. She has been teaching for over 30 years at UKM, and she had headed the School of Language Studies and Linguistics and was the Deputy Director at Research Management Center at UKM. Currently, she is the Director of UKM Press. So she's got vast experience in research and also publication, publishing academic books. She has written more than 8 books. The book Out of Shadows, Women in Malay Court Narratives won the National Book Award in 2005. And she's also a recipient of local and international grants. Also a member of the United Kingdom Research and Innovation College member. So vast experience both nationally and internationally. And I think her latest publication, she writes a wide-ranging topic from women's studies with feminism, post-colonial literature, language, linguistic culture. The latest publication is in 2021, where she co-wrote a journal entitled Gender Labour Market in Malaysia. There's a vast number of publications. I'm not going to go through that. So I think without much ado, I welcome Prof. Ruzi to speak on, writing the winning FRGS proposal. Please welcome her. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Ainul and Prof. Farida for that kind introduction. It's the first time I'm presenting about FRGS to you people at International Islamic University. It's my son's university, so I'm proud to be associated with your university. My son is really proud of your university. He did Islamic finance.
Oh,
I will share my screen now. Prof. Nofarida did tell me that you've had, this is not the first time you're hearing about FRGS. So I'll just go through some points here very quickly. And then after that, I'm going to show you a good proposal that that was awarded FRGS grant last year from UKM. And then I'm going to show you, Dr. Ainul shared with me 3 proposals from your faculty for me to look at. So I've got some brief comments for them to improve their work. Okay, first, first you have to understand what is fundamental research, because there's always been comments when someone did not get the grant from their application. There's always 1 or 2 evaluators who say it's not fundamental enough, or it's not fundamental research. So what is meant by fundamental research? It is generation of new theories, new concepts, and new ideas. So if you're not saying anything new, then it is very likely that your application will be rejected. Okay, so the keyword here is new. Okay, that means no one in Malaysia so far has thought about, or if it's not new, that means you are saying something, you are adding to the corpus, to the body of knowledge in Malaysia. Okay, so it's new body of knowledge. That one you must understand. Okay. So even if you read the Malay one, it's teori, konsep dan idea baru. That means it must be is penyelidikan asas, basic research which can generate new knowledge. Okay, so that's really important to bear in mind, especially when I look at the three proposals that were given to me. Okay, so in terms of basic social science, I'm a social scientist, and I think some of you, most of you are also. So it involves questions and investigative practices that are focused on discovering or formulating fundamental principles of human behavior, answers questions relating to the whys and hows of human behavior, and does not typically result in a product or technology. So I think it's difficult for us in social sciences to produce product or technology, but if we can understand human behavior and we can solve a certain problem that relates to human behavior or human problem, especially in Malaysia, then most likely you will be given the grant. Okay. Okay, first you will see this when you see the form. You have got NPA, National Priority Areas. Now it's difficult to place us in this NPA. I don't see myself here either as an arts person or someone in education. So for this one, you need to take, but you can take anything. Okay, so I normally take, when I was doing it, I take biodiversity, meaning anything under the sun that we could do as social scientists. But it's important to take carefully the research cluster and research domains. So there are social and economic well-being, food safety and security, infrastructure. So I think for us, we fall under social economic well-being or education and knowledgeable civil society. Or if you're working on national security, you can also put this in. I am the head of social and economic well-being at the Ministry of Higher Education. I'm heading this cluster. Okay. So then you have also got research domains which you need to take. So pure and applied science, technology, engineering, social science, information and communication technology, clinical and health sciences, arts and applied arts, natural and cultural heritage. So I am in arts and applied arts. So there are three of us that often take, we take turns managing the grants for FRGS. So arts, I am in charge, I am part of this domain. All right, so please take the right one, because if you, let's say you take information communication technology, then your application will be evaluated by someone from this domain. So take the right domain when you fill in your form. Okay. Then the next one is to look at, you have to fulfill, you have to, well, the Ministry of Higher Education they have decided that they will abide by three parameters of the national agenda, national and international agenda. So the first one is 10 by 10, my STIE, and there are 10 socio-economic drivers and 10 science and technology drivers. So you need to take either one of the socio-economic drivers or one of the science and technology drivers. So make sure you take that as well. And then when you write your impact, you need to include which STIE you're impacting. And then you have to also look at this document, Wawasan Kemakmuran Bersama, and there are 15 KGAs, 15 key economic growth areas, growth activities, and you need to tick one. So for us, maybe you want to look at content industry as you're providing content, or you can look at Malaysia Truly Asia, meaning anything. So again, here is very wide sort of things you can tick yourself, but you need to tick, even though you find it hard to place yourself within these KGAs. And of course, the final one is the SDG. So there are 17, but there are 18 for KPT, and I am in charge of societal harmony and happiness. I'm heading this. Okay, so you need to put in which SDG you are answering to for your research. Okay, so basically, I think in order to write a good proposal, you need to know how you are being assessed, how you will be assessed. So we are looking for research we can improve a particular policy, methodology, and existing problem solving model, or research which encompasses humanities and social science issues intended to improve the quality of life nationwide and improve the values of mankind, or research projects with potential to contribute towards the national strategic agenda. So it's difficult for us as researchers sometimes to say, okay, do I work on my discipline? Like, let's say I like literature written by women, but will that kind of research contribute to the national strategic agenda? So you got to balance between what you like, your specialization, and this fund, which will only fund you if you're working on some national strategic agenda. Okay. Right. So this is how you're being evaluated. There are 12 main criteria and 27 sub-criteria. And for the main criteria, there are marks, percentages given. So it's weighted at 5% to 20, for the lowest, and 25% for the highest. So methodology is given the highest percentage. So that's why you need to, of all the sections, you need to pay attention to your methodology because it's given the most marks, 25%. And then for the sub-criteria, you are given a score from 1 to 10. Very poor for 1 and very good for 10. And you must, to be able for you to go to the, for you to be able to go to the group where, okay, these are people we can possibly fund. You must not get lower than 8 for each of the sub-criteria, which is not easy to do. Okay, so there are 2 things that are recommended in FRGS, but once you reach 75 points, we then go and look at the 2 things that are recommended but not made compulsory. So these 2 things that are not made compulsory will give you the some extra bonus marks for you to be bumped up to 80% or 85%. Okay, I will show you later what I mean. Right. So first, title is worth 5%. Okay. Shakespeare, as Prof. Nofarida knows, is what's in a name. Okay, a rose will smell just as sweet. But for KPT, names matter. Okay, so how you title, what title you give for your proposal is very important for it to be clear, because while they try to get a person in your area, sometimes it's impossible to get the evaluator to know your area as well as you do. So, and even for international grants, they will always ask the applicant to write in plain language. So there may be a lot of jargons for your own research, but try and write for the person, for the common person who could understand your work. Okay, as long as the person is academic enough and will be able to understand what you're trying to say. So it should not show an application of a theory or framework or borrowing from anything. So there shouldn't be anything like application of. The word application of should not even be written as the title. The moment we see application of, we know it's not fundamental at all. You're applying something from somewhere, therefore is from the title itself, you will be knocked out already. Okay. And the title also should convey an important national agenda. So how are you going to be evaluated? You evaluated on 2 parameters. One is the title is specific in nature, reflecting fundamental issues to be resolved or show novelty. Brief and reflects the content of the proposal. So do not have a title which is 20 words long. Far too long. Maybe 10 will be just, will be good enough. And so I think I always like to tell my friends to show your title to people. So they say, from my title, do you understand what I'm saying? If they can understand, even if they're outside your field, then I think that's a good title. Okay, but if it only makes sense to you, You know, sometimes we literary people, we think we take something from literature and edit, like have a nice stamp. You know, our PhD students do that, but it may sound nice, but is it reflecting the content of your proposal? Okay, so don't be too fancy. Okay, the executive summary is worth 10%, and they already and it's already stated in the form that this is the rubric of executive summary, meaning they want you to focus on these things. They want to say, okay, what's your statement of the problem? What are the objectives? What is the research methodology? What is the expected output implications? And what is the significance of your research? So therefore, you're going to be evaluated on problem statement, we're looking for it, objectives, whether they are realistic and within time frame, workable and clear methodology, clear deliverables as outcome, and contribute to an important agenda. So the last sentence should be, what's the implication of your research and how does it contribute to the national agenda? Okay. Okay, so then research background is 15%, and what we're looking, and they put there the rubric, research background including, okay, expand on your problem statement, because you only have 2 sentences in the section before. Now you've got maybe 2 paragraphs. Don't go beyond, like, don't write your problem statement until it becomes like 6 paragraphs, 7 paragraphs. It's too long. So I think 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs maximum, where you state what is it what is it that you're doing, what is your hypothesis and research questions, the literature review, related references, and relevance, again, relevance to government policy. Okay, so in this research background, we're looking at, have you elaborated on the title of your proposal? What does it mean? Have you clarified your problem statement? And are your research questions clear? Okay. Have you cited most recent and relevant references? So they're looking for references not 5 years back, meaning this is 2022, it should be 2018 and beyond. Okay, so if you find yourself referring to works 2015, 2000, 1999, then please rework your literature review. And they also looking at whether it's in line with government policy, national agenda, and global aspirations. So you see that word appears all the time, global aspiration, national agenda. So research objectives, they must be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and within time frame. Okay, so you remember your Bloom taxonomy, use that taxonomy to do your research objectives. And they should range from the easiest, you know, the Bloom taxonomy has got easiest to the most difficult. So to problematize your inquiry, therefore, verbs like to study, to see, to understand, that's not good, because you cannot measure understanding. You cannot measure see. Okay, but if you write verbs like to investigate, to determine, to assess, then we can measure these objectives, whether you have achieved them or not. Okay. Okay, the most as I said earlier, is methodology, 25%. It determines the success of your project, and also the methodology will influence the cost of your project. So whenever you ask for 120,000, we go back to your methodology. From your methodology, is it true that it will cost 120,000? If we give you less, will you be able to carry out the project? Okay. So poor methodology reflects the ignorance of the grant writer, not clear what to do, and reviewer cannot expect anything good out of a research project if the researcher does not know what to do. So if you just have a sentence or maybe 2 sentences, say this will be a quantitative research via the use of survey, and that's it, that's your methodology, then, you know, how do we give you marks over 25%? Okay. So assessment criteria, we're looking at clear and detailed description of methodology, meaning if you're doing field work, where are you going? Why are you going there? You know, so you need, these are things that you need to put in your methodology. Sampling techniques. What are your sampling techniques? How do you choose your respondents? Interview sessions. How many interview sessions will you have? How do you analyze your data? Are you using in vivo, whatever, you know, the different software you might use? If you're going to do lab work, what's the experimental protocol and so on. So so it should include like, okay, yeah, as I said before, equipment use, sample size is important since it has a bearing on project costs. You should divide the methodology into several subsections so that the reviewer can see the flow of thought. Meaning, if let's say you're going to 5 places to collect data, what are these places? Okay, so let's say you need to go to say Kulim, Kedah. Then you need to go to somewhere in Kelantan, you know, like you need to go to Kota Baru. So you need to put that in your in this section so that then you map this to your budget. Okay, able to achieve research objectives, should check whether the methodology address all objectives and include research design, flowchart, Gantt chart, activities and milestones. Okay, so literature review is not it should not be put under your Gantt chart. It should be, you know, Gantt chart is whether you have achieved your milestones or not. Okay. Okay, expected results, this is 10%, and we are looking for, and they have noted there, they want to see novel theories, new theories, novel, cutting edge, new findings. So evaluation, will you have a new theory? Or are you rehashing old theories? Okay, publication in index journals or intellectual property, human capital. If you're asking for a 2-year project, you must put 1 MA. If you're asking for a 3-year project, you put 1 PhD. Okay, and impact on society, economy, and nation. So this is how you're going to be evaluated. Okay, then track record and composition of team is 5%. Evidence of previous successful research projects, qualification and rank of researchers, well-balanced team. So if let's say there are all professors in there and these are all professors who are going to retire, we say, oh, not very balanced this project, you know. So so be careful. So if you've got, let's say you are a young researcher, you're just starting out in your profile, in your migrants profile, you have not shown any research before this, you have maybe 1 or 2 publications only. So we'll say, oh, how will this person manage? Because from the profile, she doesn't have much experience. So in cases like that, put in a senior person in your group, you know, like a professor, who you say, you know, then you can put in your SWOT analysis that you may be young, but you've got a mentor to help you along, you know. So you put under weakness, or I may be young, you know, you put in because you need to write a short essay in your SWOT section later on. Okay. Quality of proposal is 10%. Here we look for whether you've been meticulous in writing your proposal. If you're writing in Malay or English, whether you have been, you know, you pay attention to your grammar, a good formatting and presentation, because we have seen how people sometimes they don't care whether this one has got two spaces or, you know, big spaces between paragraphs, like they don't care. So you know, we judge a person also with how they present their proposal. So take some care into the presentation of your proposal. Okay. And then elements of RGS criteria, and you are being evaluated whether it shows novelty and whether it has got high impact. So that's 5%. Okay. So that will be how you are being evaluated. So if you're clear on the percentages, then you know that's how much work you have to put in for every sub criteria of your proposal. Okay, then Prof. Nofarida told me that you know about patent search. So patent search is recommended but not compulsory. But if let's say we have checked all of your things and you got like 8888 or 7.5 or 8, then the system will alert us to say, oh, this applicant has passed the borderline, like 8. So then they will tell us to check 2 more things, your patent search and patent search will, and you got to submit, upload your patent search, and you got to write a little, a little narrative, like maybe 4 sentences to say, okay, you've checked, and then do not put 0, okay? Some people put 0, there's been no patents everywhere, in the world, which is impossible. So normally there always is something. So maybe your search, you're not searching the right word. You cannot be so specific in your as your topic. You may have to broaden your search for a while, just like when you search for Google and you got to broaden the topic or find synonyms and so on. I'll show you later a sample of how a person put in like say there have been 20 patents, but so I'm not there have been other people doing the same thing, but this is how I depart from other people's research. Okay. Okay, and then another one also, this one is recommended, your collaboration with either the industry or agency, and you need an LOI, letter of intent. Okay, so you will see in your form this section, additional information. So you've got 2 boxes there. So you need to tick either one, either international or agency. Okay, if you do this, then you get the extra mark, the bonus mark. So the bonus mark will be given for your patent search and for your collaboration. And when you so it's not enough to write an email to the person. So in the past, I have seen many of this. The applicant would say, would upload the email that they send to the person they want to collaborate with. They say, I'm so and so, and I'm applying for a grant. I would like you to work with me. And that's a letter they submit to my grants. But that's not enough. The person need to respond to your letter, and there must be, well, I think there should be a proper LOI to say that, okay, I agree to work with you. And try and get someone who's not a junior officer, who will say, I will work with you, but is able to say, okay, we'll take on board your suggestion. Meaning, you take a junior person who will say yes, but when it comes to the time when, okay, will you take on board my policy, whatever, say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have the executive power to make any changes. Okay, so don't try and get the right person to work with. And if you and for Myra calculations, if you write a paper, you write a journal, an index journal with, and your co-writer is someone from industry, it gives you an extra 0.3 marks. Okay, and with Myra, even 0.1 is very precious. So if you could write, if let's say you're collaborating someone from, say, Department of Orang Asli, Jabatan Orang Asli, and the person may not write the paper with you, but provides you data, for example. So you're working in terms of, he is the provider data, or maybe he reads your paper and say, oh, there's something wrong here, you need to add, you collaborate in that way. So that will give you the edge when you publish a paper in index journals. Okay, it will give you 0.3 marks extra, which is very precious. Right, so this is a SWOT, and this is wajib isi, it's compulsory. So you need to write your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this is where, let's say you are young and you don't know many people, or you've not had enough experience in writing for grant proposals, and or you don't have enough publications. So you say, I have so and so in my team who has shown his CV is, blah, blah, blah. And, he will help me in my research. And then threats, nowadays threats, of course, if you want to do field work with the pandemic, with border closures, that will be a problem. And the migrants does include in its instruction that please bear in mind the pandemic condition. So let's say in your budget, you say I want to go to 10 places in Malaysia, or you go to Singapore and all that, bear in mind, if you cannot go, then how will you spend the money? Okay, so even if, so you got to put this risk, low, medium, high, and then it's okay if even if some risk is high. You just, if let's say something is high, like you cannot travel and the risk is high, then you say that, oh, you must show how you will remedy that situation. Let's say you cannot go to certain parts of Malaysia. Now, how will you remedy that? You need to put that in your SWOT analysis. Okay. Okay, so this is so when so tiga syarat, dua syarat lah. If your marks then exceed 75 marks, then of course you will check the other two, and that will give you the edge. So let's say you are R meaning recommended, and then with the extra 5 marks you become HR, highly recommended. Then you may fall into the pile of people who will get the grant. Okay, because the success rate, I don't know about UIA, but UKM is about 40%. Our passing mark is 40%. 40% of our applicants get funding from for FRGS. So I'm not sure. I think some universities vary between 20% to 30%. So money matters. Money really matters. Really matters. Okay. So these are all the votes. V11,000, V21,000, V24,000, V27,000, V28,000, V29,000, and V35,000. Okay. So I will show you what you can spend and cannot spend. Right. So for allowance, okay. If allowance salary, we do not like to cut your budget. We since the last 3 years, we have tried to follow, like the in for UK grants, they ask for 20 million and not a single cent would be cut. Okay, so we try to follow the same kind of generosity, but then you must be sincere in how much you are going to apply for. So for a salary, do not say, oh, I'll ask for 6 months salary in first year, 6 months. No, ask for 24 months. We will never cut your salary, the salary of your students. Okay, so you get 2003 for PhDs and 2000 masters. So if let's say you're doing it for 2 years, ask for 48,000 to 24 plus. Yeah, okay. Then for V21,000, this is for perjalanan pengangkutan, meaning so there's travel because you need to collect data, and travel because you want to attend conferences. So if you're attending conferences within the country, you can everybody, you can the head can go, the researcher, your fellow researchers can go, your GRA can also attend and can get paid for it. But if you're for international conferences, only one person can go, either the head of project or one of the researchers. Okay, and this can only be done in the second year. So don't put persidangan luar negara in the first year, because it shows us that you've not read the booklet, and therefore you will get technical knockout. Okay. Rent, 24,000. You can rent buildings, equipment, cars, computers, or anything you can rent. So you can, but you cannot charge for, let's say someone, let's say Dr. Aino wants to use a seminar room in your university, and you say, okay, I will pay my grant. Cannot. You can rent a room in UKM and get paid through your grant, but you cannot use your grant to pay a facility in your own university. But for labs, you can, like your test samples, that one can be charged to the university. I mean, you can use your grant, but not for rental for like um, rooms or computers. You cannot rent from your own university. Now you know that you're not allowed to buy laptops unless it's really necessary, and you will justify the purchase of a laptop. And if they see that it is it's necessary, crucial, then they will allow you to buy the laptop. But since you cannot buy, you can rent. Okay. And or you can, if you got a desktop and you need to improve the RAM, whatever graphic card, then you can use 28,000 to do all that. You can okay. Then for 24,000, only materials related to your research. Now this one always has got the, people always put a lot here, 29,000. So this you can pay for printing, hospitality, honorarium, professional services, consultation, data processing, and or anything related to your research. Like you need someone to translate your work, your publication. You need to pay publication fees. You can use 29,000. And then 35,000 is your, as I said, accessories, but normally it's very difficult to get them to approve your purchase of computers or any other, like video cameras, all very hard. Okay. Okay, what you cannot buy? You cannot pay your association fees. Cannot use your grant. Cannot buy reference books. Cannot buy anything. Cannot buy handphones, laptops, printers, cartridge. Cannot pay your utility bills or phone bills. Cannot buy things like paper, desk table, or cannot buy. Cannot buy external hard disk, pen drive, CDs. Cannot pay facilities in your own institutions. You cannot ask for, if you want to file a patent for copyright, not copyright, but patents, that you need to pay 5,000, I think. So it's not allowed for FRGS, DRGS, LRGS, only allowed for PRGS and anything not related to your research. So this is what you can or cannot buy. Okay. And then, so this is the marks you're given. So you're given from 1 to 2, like very poor, and then up to very good. Now you are aiming for 8 and above. Okay. Now, if your assessor gives you 5 below, then the assessor needs to say why he or she thinks it's poor, like 5 below. But if the person gives you 6 and above, the person does not have to put any comments. And because of the amount of work that they need to do, sometimes they don't give comments, although they should try and give comments. But, if you're dealing with hundreds of proposals that you need to read, sometimes there isn't enough time. So therefore, it's a tall order, but you're aiming for 8 to 10, okay? Now, be wise, don't plagiarize, meaning if you are evaluating in IUM from the system, from migrants in IUM, you cannot see, the system does not alert the evaluator that this work has been plagiarized. But once you are within the domain of Ministry of Higher Education, the assessor will be, the system will alert the assessor, or they say plagiarism detected. Okay, the system will tell us that. And there have been many cases, so that's why the system alerts the reviewers. So therefore, don't plagiarize. And if, let's say, you are resubmitting your work that you had submitted before, the system can detect it, because they will say, oh, they see similarity. So if you're submitting the same work, I would suggest you like you rephrase a lot of things, so that it's not exactly the same thing. Okay. Oops. So Okay, I think that's it for okay, so I'm now going to share hang on. Just a minute, okay? Okay, this is a sample of my colleague whom I helped. You know, like, sorry, you cannot see this. And I helped him to, you know, like we rewrote several drafts, and he got the grant. And I wasn't the reviewer at KPT. I cannot review people from my own university, but he was looking at a development of Negrito languages, developing a database. Okay, so so first you need to put all the, no, he put himself under natural and cultural heritage, not even under my domain. I'm under arts and applied arts. So, but within my cluster, socio-economic well-being. And then, you know, my STI, he's got culture, arts and tourism, KEGA 3, industrial revolution, SDG 16, peace, justice and strong institutions. And you see, say location of research, he knows exactly where he wants to go. He wants to go to perkampungan orang asli Lubuk Lenggong, Baling. No, not just Baling, but Lubuk Lenggong. Orang asli Greek.
Sorry, Prof. Are you now showing us this the proposal?
Yeah, you cannot see it.
I think what's on the screen is still from your earlier slides.
Oh, sorry. Then I need to share again, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
The new set.
Where is it? Can you see now?
No, it's there.
Is there? Okay. So okay, so he's looking at developing, the title is developing a database of SLAP. SLAP means, you know, sometimes it's good to do acronym, scientific language preservation model for Negrito languages. Okay, so this is the research domain, this is a cluster, and under MYSTIE, he put under culture, arts and tourism, under shared prosperity vision, it's KEGA 3, and then under SDGs, SDG 16, peace, justice and strong institutions. And then for research, he knows exactly where he wants to go. Lubuk Lenggong, Baling, orang asli Greek dan Hulu Perak, perkampungan orang asli Jeli dan Gomusang. No, so these are all the locations of his research, because it is seen in his, and because this will be reflected in his budget. Okay, then all the people he wants to work with, and then all the research is done before, and then all the papers he's published. So make sure you update your migrants, because they should show, you know, current works. And then you look at the executive summary. So it's about 300 words, but you see how he's written it. Conventional methods of studying endangered languages include rough estimations of places and tribes. So like rough estimation. So he is now making specific, not estimate anymore, but very specific by using GPS to locate where the speakers are. So this imprecise technique leads to sketchy findings of important features of these languages too. So then he talks about the Negrito consists of 6 tribes and languages that are at risk of being diminished. So, so therefore, there have been no attempts to use scientific methods to record and analyze Negrito languages to study their growth or decay. So he's interested whether the language is growing or is decaying. So then the objectives are, so as much as possible, use the rubric. Objectives are, so he's got 1, 2, 3. Can you see my thing? Is it okay? He has 5 objectives. Then the methodology is a qualitative research design involving 6 Negrito languages. It will involve the elicitation method to obtain spontaneous word samples from native speakers using the non-probability, and transcribe using the phonetic transcription into a spreadsheet before being transferred into the GIS. The output is a scientific repositories of indigenous languages representing important assets in natural and cultural resource management and sustainable development. as recognized in United Nations Declaration, and so he included all the SDG and oops, all the SDG 16, and then it says here, this research is a pathway for our moribund languages to be acknowledged as national geo-indigenous heritage sites similar to World Heritage Sites. So he sees you see that how he phrases his research to show that it's an important national agenda. Okay, then problem statement, about three or four paragraphs. Then hypothesis, Negrito languages are in danger of being extinct. Then the research questions, literature review. Okay, so you see the way he put literature review, like he put 12, 13. What happens is that when you look at the, this is the format of scientific writing. Instead of putting names in the paper itself, the references are put here. So 1, 2, 3. So for example, if you notice, even from here, say around 9 languages die per year, with most in Asia 1. So then you go, the reviewer will go to 1 and see that he's referring to that writer. Okay. So this is the literature review, and relevance to the government policy, references, not too many. He's got everyone. So everyone that you are citing must appear in your reference list. If you're not citing that person, don't put him there. Okay, him or her there. Then these are the objectives, and then this is, okay, look at the methodology. First, he's got research design, where he will talk, qualitative research design involving 6 Negrito languages. And what are the languages? Kenshu, Kintak, Lano, Mandarin, Batik. Then he put research location. Research location, Kedah, Perak, Kelantan. Population and sampling. Okay, so sampling, only native speakers who can speak well with no damage to the speaker's teeth will be chosen, because if let's say the speaker has got no teeth, then the pronunciation would be not quite right or not accurate. So each tribe will present by 20 children, 12 to 18, 20 adults, 30 to 50, and 20 elders, 60 years and above. So he's very specific with his sampling. Okay. Then data collection procedures will employ 200 word Swadesh list. So for linguists, they've got the Swadesh list, which, and Swadesh list is to do with family, home, flora, fauna, hunting. So he will see whether the 200 words, what words are being used for these different categories. Okay. And then for data collection procedures, got task 1. It's got task 2. And then research design's got 4 phases. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, with a diagram included. So you see how extensive the methodology is, because the marks you're given is 25%. So they need to know really how you're going to carry out your research. Okay. Then, of course, you need to put in the flow chart, and this is your description of milestones. Okay, so it will appear here. So data collection, very detailed. And then new theories, findings. So he says emergence of a pioneer scientific lab SLAB model so that the indigenous communities can preserve their language. And then impact on the quintuple helix. Quintuple helix refer to society, academia, government, industry, and environment. Okay, so he put there, things that shows that will show in what way his research is important for in helping that vulnerable community. Then he put there, and you have to put research publications. So if possible, put in which journal you're aiming, and let's say then he is targeting transaction in GIS Q1 with the impact factor, and then another one is called International Journal of Geographical Information Science. Okay. Then he said he thinks he will have one IP, he will have one PhD student, he will have one digital map of Negrito language, another IP. And then, okay, you have to also include access to equipment and materials given by your university. So your university gives you desktop, photocopy machines. You just please include it there. It shouldn't be zero, okay? As though your university is not giving you anything to support your research. Okay, look at the budget. Budget is for 3 years. So he asked for 3 years. 3 years, his PhD GRA. And then traveling. Okay, so where he's going. And then look at the field work. So for example, he needs to go to Pos Lubuk Lenggong Baling. He needs to go to Kintak Gerik. So he puts there 180 ringgit times 4 days times 2 researchers. Food allowance, mileage. The same, all this. He puts all this in. Okay. All that. So it came up to 23,000, something like that, or 39,000. And then rental zero, research material zero. But he says, okay, then professional services, he needs to pay the informants. Okay, conference fees. And then and then for journal, he needs to pay publication of the journals. So it came up to, and then because his work is highly technical, he needs a high-end laptop for GIS software. So he's applied for that, and he has included the justification plus a quotation. So altogether, he applied for 147 and he got 147. 147,000. Okay. So then, okay, then he put there patent search. He says there are 32 patents available on language preservation, but none of it was using GIS as a technology. So that's how he departs from other research. And then he's got research collaborator. He's working with JAKWA, Jabatan Orang Asli. And then I told him, why don't you try and also contact somebody from UNESCO? So he's got someone from UNESCO as well to work with him. Okay, so then you've got the SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. So, so you write a little essay. It's not just tick, 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 but you have to write a little essay to explain. And then your technical, your risk, technical low, timing high, and a medium, and budget low. And then that's it. So then, of course, you need, like, for example, he needs to get ethics committee approval because he's working with human beings. Okay. So you need to tick all this. All right. Okay. So that's it. That's how specific you have to be. Okay. I mean, I know he worked very hard. We were constantly, because it was during the pandemic, so we will always meet via Google Meet. So I went through, and I was really pleased that he got it. I wasn't sure that he was going to get it or not. Okay, now I will show you your friends. Okay, let me just check. This one is okay, this one is called constructing a Makassar model to develop national unity using deliberative polls with minority Chinese. Okay, so I can tell you that there have been so many Makassar models that I've seen in a number of research proposals. So so Makassar itself, it's an Islamic model based on Sharia. So do you think that's an applied? There is an it's almost, to me, it's a kind of applied form of doing research, because you're applying a model elsewhere, that is already existing. So, and also the title, like with minority Chinese. So, Malaysia has got Chinese, Indian, Malays, plus all the other ethnicities. So why focus on Chinese only? Because remember, when you are asking for a grant, your grant should solve problems. It should show scale and depth. Meaning, it cannot be just, in my view, just minority Chinese. So let's say Malays and Chinese are okay. What about Chinese and Indians, Malay and Indians? So therefore, I would, if you could develop a model that can encompass all the ethnicities in Malaysia, that would be, we would fund that. I mean, not we, I mean, KPT would fund that. Rather than you just looking at one minority ethnic race. That's so I say here, you may find the problem with Chinese. You may, but what about other races? Another one would be, so all these you've not identified, okay, like location research. So how will you, so if I were to look at, now don't put January 2023, you will be given money this year, probably sometime in September, September, or even October, but it will be within this year because the government must disburse money before 2023. So please put 2022. Okay, maybe I think September will be safe. Okay, normally we would finish things by May, but the process of getting approval from various layers would make it longer. Right. So then, so I say here, follow the rubric. So for example, like this one, I cannot see clearly what is the problem statement. Can you read? Can you see the is it
Frgs whose proposal are we referring to right now?
You can't see it?
Is it by Dr. Emilia Juliana, the proposal? Are you referring?
Dr. Shaza.
Oh, okay. I think you have a different one on the screen right now.
You go.
Uh-uh.
I am reading the one by Shaza.
Okay. What's on the screen now is by Emilia Juliana.
Oh, no wonder everyday look puzzle. Okay, hang on. Hang on, just let me now, hang on, because maybe I should by now. You mean you see this right now? This is Emilia? You see Emilia now?
Yes, right now we are looking at Emilia Juliana's work.
Okay. Then I'll go this one first. Okay, this one is not using the form. So the format is, like, I would like to see the executive summary first for me to be able to like, this is like a long essay. And so it is not in the format of FRGS. So here, like, towards the sustainable role of higher education institutions applying the quintuple helix. So you see the word applying is already not fundamental because quintuple helix is already there. I mean, the ministry is using quintuple helix. So so you need to rework this. I was thinking if Dr. Emilia is interested in internationalization of higher education, maybe internationalization of higher education during this pandemic condition. In what way he has caused chaos to our plan to internationalize, like to. So I do not see, like, this is all applied because it's already there. And then I saw that that she wants to look at she wants to, substantive focus of this is to explore the relations between the internationalization of higher and its impact community. So here it says communities, but elsewhere it says, generally the 5 constructs. So I'm not sure exactly whether it's about sustaining university community engagement or something else. Okay, so So for example, how do the HEI strategize the internationalization? What is the role? So this one, from these questions, they do not, they cannot be mapped to university community engagement. Okay, so I see a mismatch between what she wants to do and what the the question she asked. Okay, so I was wondering, I mean, this is my idea as I was reading this, like first and I was Googling as well. There have been quite a number of studies done on internationalization of Malaysian universities, quite a number, especially because I know the people doing them, you know, my colleagues, Dr. Yang Farina and Datuk Zaini, they're both working with the ministry now, working on internationalization. So I know there's been quite a number of work. So Dr. Amelia must show in what way she departs from whatever has been done before. You know, she needs to show what has been done right now and how do we move forward. So for example, like, is there data on what are the internationalization practices of universities? You know, for example, public universities like UKM, our practices are different from your university, which allows international students even at undergraduate level. So for us, if we offer our places to international students for undergraduates, we don't have enough space for local students. So all our students are local students because of you know, that is how we operate. So we are not allowed to take. So therefore, so it might be interesting to look at what are the practices right now, and you may divide them between local public universities and international universities. Okay, so and then where do these students come from? You know, like we attract students from the Middle East. We used to attract students, and then maybe we have got students from Southeast Asia, but maybe limited to Indonesia, Brunei, perhaps, you know, because of the affinity, you know, ethnically, perhaps. But why are we not attracting students from, say, Australia, from England, from, you know, from Europe? Why? So if let's say we are really interested in internationalizing, why do our cohorts remain to be these groups of people, which is very limited? You know, like UK universities get students from everywhere in the world, but we don't have that reach of students. So I think that if you were doing this, there's a possibility that we might, you know, KPT might be interested in. But if you're looking at how it contributes, that one has been answered, you know, that one has always been things that KPT has always been, they know the data, but if you were able to give us data about what the practices so far for the 22 universities in Malaysia, 2022 universities, or even in, you know, and then if you could also study, you know, like this data is all available, but then develop I don't know, a framework where we can become attractive to also students from other parts, from Europe, from, you know, like we attract students from, say, we get students from Kazakhstan, from Kyrgyzstan, but we're not getting students, say, from Austria, from Germany, you know. So what's our problem? That might be interesting to answer, you know. So like this one, you talk about methodology. So you put document analysis, semi-structured interview. So you have top management university, international students and academics. And then your sampling is IIUM, MARA, UMS, and UNIMAS. Why these 4 universities? You got 3 which are public universities, public meaning, and 1, you are, I suppose, you are public, but you allow students to, you allow international students to join even the undergraduate program, which is different from UKM. UKM only takes international students for our postgraduates mostly. Okay. And the same with a lot other. If you want to bring in international students and undergraduate, it has to be a different arm. It's not the normal channel for taking in students. So from here, you will, the way your choice of university subjects here shows is not comprehensive. Maybe you should also look at, like universities like Nottingham, Reading, even the Chinese university in Putrajaya. So what are their practices? How are they able to sustain getting students from places where local other public universities are not able to attract? Okay, so if you compare this methodology with what I showed you before, you see that there are a lot of gaps that the applicant needs to address. Okay, so that's one. Now, okay, what am I showing you now? Am I showing you this? What are you saying right now? Are you seeing this development of?
Not yet, Prof. I think you need to share the screen.
I need to share one more. Oh yeah, sorry. Share. No, this one is what? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? I'm looking at the development of an Islamic mindfulness parenting module. Is that what you're seeing as well?
No, it's a Makassib model that you're showing. So, this is from Shaza Farhana, Dr. Shaza, the first one that you...
Yeah. So are you seeing a Makassib model right now?
All right, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. So as I just now constructing a Makassib model, so I've seen quite a number of Makassib kind of research being done. And it's difficult to get funding for this kind of research because it seems like you're applying a model from that's already there. Okay. And as I said just now, you are only focusing on Malays and Chinese, whereas Malays also interact with Indians, with other ethnicities. Okay, so you may, if let's say you settle your problem between Malays and Chinese, then what about Chinese and Indians, Chinese and other races? So it's so when they fund the research, they want it to be holistic. You're not saying, you're not just settling part of the problem. Okay. So all this, and I said earlier, don't put 2023, it should be 2022 because money must be disbursed before the end of this year. Okay. So here I said follow the rubric. So so the thing here is, okay, we have not quite achieved cohesion or shared nationhood. But if let's say you're only sharing your nationhood with Chinese, it's not in totality that you're sharing this, this vision. So therefore, it needs to be rewritten. And then let me just see whether I can you see, is it too small?
It's quite eligible, Prof.
Okay, good. Then I say, okay, one of the biggest, so this must be the statement of the problem, or the biggest challenges is to unite the increasing polarization. But polarization is not just between Malays and Chinese. Polarization is, Indians as well or other races. Um, so um, so then uh, this study proposed to understand the Chinese views on Islamization of policies and laws. So how do you measure understanding? And then, so what's the methodology? So you use deliberative polls, but how and who are your subjects? So that's why, like implication here is it would lead to better understanding by the Chinese community on Sharia. But first is, do you know what is their level of understanding right now? First, you got to, okay, what's the level of understanding right now? Because you cannot presume that they know zero. Okay. So, and whether Keluarga Malaysia is built based on the Makassar model. So there are many things that need to be fixed here. So, and I said, why? So, and then Malaysia is a country that is made up of more than 80 ethnic groups. So you say here, there are so many groups of people, and this is 2012 data, which is last decade. We've moved to another decade, 2022. So you need, remember, there's one section in your literature review where it says it should be the previous 5 years. So this one's 2021, so that's good. We need more 2018 and above. Then so I think one of the main problems is growing tension between Malays and other minority groups, but then you are focusing only on Chinese and based on this Malaysian made whiskey 2021. So I think if there are problems between Chinese not understanding Sharia laws, there must be, bigger things like interracial marriages that come into question, or choice of religion. There's so many things that that when we talk about religious problems between the different races. So then, so I said Keluarga Malaysia is not just for Malays and Chinese, it's for everybody. And nowadays in Malaysia, we're talking about super diversity. It's not just Malay, Chinese, Indians. We are a super diverse nation. There are Bangladeshis, Vietnamese, Nepalese, Arabs, Indonesians. So people no longer talk about the three main races. People talk about a super diverse nation. So if you could, show awareness of super diversity in Malaysia, that would be better. Okay. So then, when I look at the references, they're all very dated references, 1993 and so on. So if we were to mark you on references, you would go below 5 because we do not see many recent references. Okay, and then so like this is okay. Okay, then use measurable verbs. Just now I said to understand. Can you measure understanding? Can you learn? To learn the receptivity. Can you measure learning? How do you measure learning? Okay. So then methodology. So you want to use experimental method in which the difference between before and after treatment would be investigated. So the thing is, there is a treatment that two groups of people are going to get. So first should be, so your method would be developing a module. I don't know, a module perhaps, developing something. So when you develop something, there must be some processes that you undertake. So for example, you gather, you would write the module or the test, whatever. And then you would get experts to look over your plan to see, okay, is this really makasid, or is there anything sensitive here? So you get a group of experts to validate your program. And then, so how do you choose your participants? Do you choose, like just now you saw the one that my colleague did. You got young people, middle age, old. Okay. So you say, so then you say, so the thing is, it's unclear. Use experimental, but we don't see how you develop the module or the method. Okay. We do not know how it's being validated. We do not know who are your participants. And then how do you measure that they have learned something, that that they are based on, if they understand this, they'll be there'll be harmony between Malays and Chinese. So it's rather fragile, the way it's being framed. Right? So you say you've got Malaysian Chinese Cultural Society as your partner, but how are you taking the people? So for group discussion, so you say you have group discussion. So if you could state one by one, phase one, what will you do? Phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Okay. And then if let's say it works and you saw that the treatment works, so who will bring this model to, who will you bring it to? Will you give it to the school, or to the Ministry of Education for them to try out? So we do not want to see where you've got this thing and it remains with you after the project ends. Okay. So here, data collection, FGD for delivery. So when you talk about FGD, who are you? Who will you see? What are the groups? They need to be very specific, because then it will be. So if I look at your salary, okay, salary you got 48,000. Traveling, where are you going? FGD, where are you going? That you ask for 10,000. You just do this, they will say, oh, we just give you 1,000 because we don't know where you're going. You might be going to, say, Bangi, then you do not need 5,000. So you must be very specific where you're going. I know this is very rough draft, but just so that when you do your corrections, you know what to add in. And then honorarium, or participants to FGD, you say how much? You gain 10 ringgit for 10 participants per state. So that means 10 participants, that means you need, you got 11 states, you got, if 10 participants per state, you got 111, 10, right? 110. So it's 110 times 10. Does it make 11? So if you have 10 participants per state, can you say that the treatment will work? Will that be enough to generalize the whole Chinese population in Malaysia? That's the thing. So so the thing is, I'm asking about response. So there are many things that that need to be fixed for this. As it is, there are a lot of gray areas. When you talk about triangulation, what are you triangulating it with? So this is some of the things that you need to correct. Okay. There are things that I think it's if you could show that you are a bit more encompassing in the number of respondents you take, like encompassing more races perhaps, or you should, that it, and also I know my friends at my law colleagues at KPT, when we see research which where the trajectory is a Muslim methodology, Islamic framework. Then we ask, will it, how will non-Muslims take this in? How will are they accepting of this kind of, we know that Islamic finance, even Chinese prefer, Islamic finance is out there and it's popular. People don't have to explain what it is. They know what Islamic finance is. But with a methodology that is overtly Islamic, and you want to persuade people not of the same religion to buy into that model, how amenable is it to them? So these are things that you need to question. Okay. So the last one, hang on, is can you see this? I know, can you see this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this one is development of an Islamic mindfulness parenting module for Muslim parents with atypical children. So that's good. You got impact, which is, nice kind of acronym that you have. But again, this is Islamic mindfulness. Mindfulness is not a new thing. There's a lot of things that I see on the internet about mindfulness. But the interesting thing would be the atypical children, meaning children, instead of saying children with special needs, you put atypical children. So that's and when we are talking about vulnerable children or children that are needing extra attention, then that's always a niche, and we like that kind of research where you're trying to help a community. Okay. So previous research found that parents are caring for education are experiencing psychological distress and poor well-being. Okay, that's been research on. And so mindfulness parenting has been there for more than 20 years. So let's say you know that it's not something that's new. So therefore, how are you extending new knowledge on this? So you're saying that using the Islamic framework will be new knowledge. But then when I look at your you say this mixed method study will be guided by the AD model. So again, here it shows that you are applying a model to this. And then you say first objective. So you got your objectives here. And then you must say, what is the methodology? Methodology involves what? Scoping review, is it a methodology? Focus group discussion is a methodology. Okay, so you say group discussion, expert validation, pilot study. So you got to write that more carefully. And then you got intervention and evaluation phases. So you say the methodology involves 3 phases. Then you explain each phase carefully. Okay, qualitative data shall be analyzed, and then so there is a promise in this one, but it needs to be written more carefully so that the evaluator say, oh, this is, when I see this, I know some evaluators will say, oh, this is applied. There is already a model there that you are applying. Okay. So then I checked your references. So you got some 2021, but 70% of your references must be 2018 and above. So if you got lots of 2001, 1994, 208, then you need to remove that and just get some recent ones. Okay, the problem with this one is got too many research questions. There are 8 research questions. Okay, how to develop? What is the parenting strategies? What are the parenting strategies? What is suitable medium? So there are too many. And then the number is impact feasible to be implemented to the targeted population. So questions like is or are, are these methods impactful, or is this feasible? Then it's not a good question when you can answer yes or no. Okay, so your targeted population would be, I don't know whether this can be for parents, non-Muslim parents with atypical children or not. Okay, whether they'll be, they will want to use your method for their children or for their family. Okay, so so they have you have so you have RQ1 here, and then you got RQ3 here, or RQ2, then you got sub questions for RQ2. So this is very, very confusing. So I suggest you tidy this up. Just have maybe 3 research questions or research objectives. Okay. And then literature review. If I were to look at, you have, see, you are borrowing another person's framework. So theoretical framework is borrowed from Model of Mindful Parenting and Al-Ghazali's parenting skills. So where is your contribution? For example, it would, what, remember just now when I said earlier, when we look at what new theories are you proposing, will you find from this research? So if you are borrowing from other people, then there'll be nothing new coming from you. So that's a problem. So all this shows that, that you are borrowing from this. So it'll be better if you get the data, and based on data, you then look at maybe parameters that are different from what is already available. Okay. So you show all this, they say, oh, this is applied. All right. Then if I look at your references, it goes on for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages of references, 6 pages, longer than the literature review. Okay, so only take references where you are citing. The ones that you cite, you can put them in your reference list. The ones you're not citing, just take them out. Okay, so here you got objectives where there are only 3, but here there are 7 or 8. So becomes quite confusing. So you have to, make sure that whatever you write earlier must tally what you write later. Okay, so methodology, you need to write a narrative for the methodology. So now you've shown a diagram. See, based on, see what's like based on means is applied. Okay, so write it out. For example, you say you got analysis, you got phase 1, and then so you got analysis. So you talk about phase 1 is scoping review. Is that means literature review? And then you have got focus group analysis, focus group discussion. With who? With parents. And then you got learning objectives, expert validation. So that's another phase. So you need, so that's then this another phase. You got intervention, evaluation process phases. And then, so you need to write this. So you got research design, mixed method. You got quasi weightless control group experiment. So, you have this explanation, but we need to know where are they coming from. They're coming from schools or from certain centers that provide help for atypical children. Okay. So data collection. So all this needs to be rewritten so that it doesn't show application of something that's already around, but show something that's really novel. Okay. So all this needs to be rewritten. Like you talk about parenting stress index. Are you looking at the stress level of parents? But it's not in your research question, you know. So all this, so you got this diagram and then you got the one before. So it can be quite confusing trying to the two. So yeah, I know you're in the, then you've got all this. So just have one diagram that can encompass everything and not too many, because if you have too many, you need to amalgamate them to show, okay, this is my final diagram to show what I'm actually doing. Okay. So then I talk about, what about non-Muslim children? Will they want to undergo the same program? Okay. Then if I look at your budget, just now, was this a 2-year project? I cannot remember, 2 year or 1 year, or 3 years. Okay, so you've got all that, which is good. So all this is good. So and then I want to look at your, so equipment provided by university, don't forget, it's not, they will give you some things in kind, if not in cash. Also, this is a 3-year project, so it's not 1008, it's 2003. Okay, and why have you asked for your 3rd year only 9 months? So you should apply for 12 months as well, you know. Traveling, you say you need to go focus group discussion. So where are you going? We need to know. Why is it only 1,000 ringgit and not, 3,000 and so on? Like, is it just going to be within Klang Valley? Because you don't ask for hotels, you don't ask for food allowance and so on. So then they will say, are you getting subjects based on convenience? Like, oh, it's convenient just to go to Klang Valley. But research should not be based on convenience, but based on, okay, where are, let's say you find kids in Klang Valley, would it be the same, say, for atypical kids in some kampong? You know, because whatever you apply for now can be applied to kids in other places. Okay. And then rental, okay, you've got here hard copy modules and parenting kit. Then you have honorarium for experts, for subject matter. So for participants, but you say that means what? 30 ringgit per session times 8 session times 10, meaning for 10 people. Is that what you mean? But it should be in your methodology just now. So all this must be in your methodology so that we map your budget to your methodology. Okay. So, okay, all this teacher training, mindful parenting by UVA Minds. So is it locally or internationally? Is it an international training or is it done locally? You know, you need to explain a bit in your methodology, because you show here that you need 5,000 for that. Because if you don't, they'll just say, oh, you don't need this. They will remove 5,000 from your budget. Okay. So you're asking for 130,000. So they will say, for 130,000, are you giving us a program that can be applied by, by a larger community, rather than just a specific community. So that's it. So so that's it. That's my comments on your 3 proposals. So don't be disheartened. I mean, this is a process we all go through, where you work from, you have got, the good thing is you have something there, but what you want to do must fit with what the ministry wants. They want return of investment. They want tangible tangible results, tangible findings, new knowledge, something that is novel. So if you think, please talk with your friends and you say, oh, is there novelty in my research from this grant? I think that's the best way. Always discuss. Because when you're working on your own, I dah balik. Okay. When you're working on your own, it's difficult to see whether it's good or it needs to be further revision. So I now welcome questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Ruzi. I think Prof. Farida is having some technical issues over there.
Yeah, she keeps on walking in and out of the room.
Let me just share with you the first question.
Yeah.
This is from Sister Najat Abdullah. Assalamualaikum, Prof. When you mentioned in the methodology section, I saw on the slide the statement, ideally milestones are in line with KPT. What does this mean?
It means that you saw the rubric just now, how you are going to be evaluated. The marks for when they look at your methodology, they want to see that, okay, let's say you put there you want to have you have field work. They want to know where you're going. So you don't put there field work. And then when you put in your milestone, let's say you need to go to 5 places. So your field work is finished by what time? Will you finish your field work, say, in 6 months or in 12 months? So let's say you finish your field work in 12 months, say 3 months spent in Terengganu, 3 months spent in Kedah, so they want in the milestones is written there. So then you match with your budget. So everything must tally. This is what I mean by ideally milestones are in line, because it should tally how you're going to be evaluated. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prof. All right, the next question we have from Dr. Adlina. She's our Deputy Director at the Research Center. Salam, Prof. Ruzi. How do evaluators perceive applied research in FRGS? I think this is a big concern among us social scientists. How should the proposal be improved?
Okay, just now you saw right. So that means it should be whatever you do, the findings is new knowledge for Malaysia. Okay, so just now, let's say the Makassar program. At the moment, I think there are programs for children, atypical children, using Islamic approaches. So sometimes when we go into a project, we do not know what is being offered right now. We presume that our method is new, but when we look around, it's probably already there. So as long as when from the title itself, do not use words like application of, and then you saw in methodology, the applicant is going to use 2 models that are already there. When you are using someone else's model, then it's applied. Okay, so our job, I think, is to collect the data, and based on the data, we are able to theorize. So that's why it must be data, and then data driven, so that we can arrive at some theories that that would be, I suppose, new. Okay, it's not easy, but that's why there are 2 evaluators for each. Internally, I think there are a lot of expert evaluators within your university, and I think Prof. Which one? I forget her name. They're quite a number, because sorry?
Prof. Nemi.
Yeah,
one of them.
Yes, one of them. She will tell you that it's applied or not. Okay. So as I said, do not be disheartened. But like I'm sure there are people who can mentor your friends, and work like I worked with 5 people last year, and Alhamdulillah they all were successful. But it's a long process. Um, Working with each one and going, in my case, going through section by section, how you should rewrite this, how you should frame this. Yeah.
Prof, I know. I have a question. Sorry, I disappeared just now. I had problem with my computer. But one common problem is when our research assistant ran away or did not complete the master or PhD. What happens when that happens midway, especially?
Okay, now if you don't fulfill what you promise, like you're supposed to get one, you supposed to train 1 GRA and you didn't do that, you will be blacklisted for 2 years.
Oh no.
Scary.
That's scary. So you cannot apply for 2 years. Okay, that's why it's not easy.
Select them carefully, yeah, Prof.
Well, as long as they don't ask us to pay back.
No, not yet so far. I'm glad you and I will almost you're not applying anymore.
Okay, Prof. Rosie, another question from Dr. Amna, I think. My question is on references. If we don't have new work done and only old ones making the research relevant, how do we link the research issue with public policy, and how will researchers know the kind of research already done on similar topic or areas to steer clear or change the parameters?
Okay, that's why when you do patent search, when you go to lens.org and you type your type the search in the search engine, you will see how much work. So people talk just now I said there is a sunrise kind of research or the sunset kind of research. Okay, so what I normally do is I would go to Google Scholar and I would set, maybe I can share here. I would do this. I would, hang on. Can you see my
Yeah, Prof. You're browsing.
Okay. You can see, right? Okay. Oops. Where is so I would go to Google Scholar and I would, this is what I teach my research students, Google Scholar. Okay. Then you type, let's say just now Islamic mindfulness. I don't know whether we can find okay, right? So you look at here anytime here. So I would check since 2018, at least for this putting writing the proposal. I would just look at since 2018. When you write your research article for a journal, you can of course dig deeper, excavate for seminal papers, 20-30 years ago. That's fine, because but for this you just go here and then you just go through each one. Maybe if you find 10 should be enough, then we know that you are, so there's 2019, 2021, say like this one, Dahaga, Islamic spiritual mindfulness to reduce depression among nursing students during the COVID-19 pandemic. Interesting. Okay. So this is what I would do. I would always do this. I would go to this. I mean, this is the easiest way to get recent articles. There are always people somewhere in the world who's doing research. And if let's say same topic but different trajectory, then you say, there is a gap here, because you want to address the gap. You are filling the gap. Right? Okay.
Right. If there are no other questions, are there any more questions? Here's your opportunity, because we will not get Prof. Ruzi before you apply for your FRGS and after. So I think because she is also like me, retiring in a year's time. So whatever that you can get today, please have them out. Final round. Any more questions? One final one. Okay, nothing, yeah. So with that, Prof. Ruzi, thank you so much on behalf of our kuliah and our university. It has been very, very helpful, yeah, because there are new things. Since the last time I applied FRGS, new things coming in for the better of research, alhamdulillah. But I think even for our evaluators, I wish they are here. We need to know all this new development as we assess our applications before we send them up to ministerial level. So thank you so much. God bless you. And yeah, we hope that, you'll come back in the near future. Thank you so much.
Okay, all the best for those who are applying. I wish you all the best, and hopefully their mentors like Dr. Prof. Nofarida, she's had FRGS before. She can tell you what to write and how to get approved, how to get your application approved. So all the best, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. We finish with Tasdik Kifara and we'll ask. Thank you, Dr. Aino.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much, Dr. Ayn. We appreciate your effort.
No problem, Dr. Zahid.
Jazakumullah khairan. From the morning till now. Alhamdulillah. It's a lot. So, inshallah, I will keep in touch with you, please.
Yes, please. Yes, Dr. Zahid. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Thank you all.